Alright, this is the new Ryobi jump starter. I'm going to demonstrate the override function using this ATV winch. The spool is disengaged, so it's not going to pull the cable in. You're just going to hear the winch motor run. This is just my way of simulating a starter here in my YouTube studio. Is there an advantage putting an HP battery in this versus a non-high performance battery in this Ryobi jump starter? I was also very curious to find out if these new batteries based on the 21700 lithium cells, this 8 amp hour and the 12 amp hour, I was very curious to know if these would make a difference. Well, what I can tell you is these don't physically fit in here. I figured out a way to do it anyway. So I've got a 4 amp hour non-HD battery in here. It's fully charged. And I'm going to hook up black to black and red to red. And because there's no switch, I'm not going to connect this until that start light turns green. That's when you would turn the key in your car. And you'll hear a solid tone when this is ready for you to turn the key in the car. So we'll turn this on with a long press on the power button. We get a green light. Then we do a single press. And I get an error. I get an error because there's no 12 volt lead acid battery in the circuit like there normally is in a car. So we use the override function. If a battery is really dead, it's less than a volt or whatever causes you to get an error, you override the error with a long press, and then it goes through and begins the priming cycle of the supercapacitors in here. So it's charging up supercapacitors with the Ryobi battery. Now it's ready. You hear the solid tone. You go into your vehicle. You turn the key. Instead, I'm gonna run the winch. Okay? And I'll show you how this cycle works. I'm just gonna hold this on here until that runs out. The supercapacitors are dumping all of their energy into the motor, okay? And then when the supercapacitors are done dumping all of their power into this motor, it turns itself off. If you're alone and you're in your car, you got to get out, you got to press that, you got to hit override again, you hear it beeping, you go get in your car. When you hear the solid tone, now you can turn the key to try to start your car if you didn't get it the first time. Then hold that to turn it off. So that process is even easier if you're not doing the override. If you're hooking red to red and black to black on a car battery or a garden tractor battery, you probably aren't going to get an error and you're not going to have to use the override. You just press that button, it starts priming. When it's done priming, you get the solid tone and the green light. You turn the key, and hopefully you get your vehicle started. Hold that down to turn it off, disconnect everything, and you're done. This is not intended to charge a dead battery in your car. It may revive it just because it outputs a higher voltage than a dead lead acid battery. It may revive it a little bit. This is not a charger for your car battery. This is a jump starter. It's assuming that the battery has low voltage and you turn your key, you get click, 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 you get nothing. That's it, right? And I've also just demonstrated that it can work in this override function when there is no 12 volt battery present. So when I got this, I was trying to figure out why sometimes it took a minute to prime and sometimes it took 10 seconds. A minute is really irritating. 10 seconds is tolerable. What I found out was there's a cold prime and a warm prime. What do I mean by cold prime and warm prime? Cold prime is when this is brand new, or it's been sitting for a day or two, the capacitors go flat. The voltage in the capacitors goes down to zero or near zero. That's a cold prime. You're priming up the supercapacitors from zero. That takes significantly more time than what I'm calling a warm prime. After you cycle it one time, charge in the capacitors seems to go down to around 12. So a cold prime can take a minute and a warm prime can take 10 seconds. So I'll show you my tests. So let's take a look at some tests. Under 100 millivolts. That's basically nothing. Okay. That is flat. Okay, let's go with the 4 amp hour HD battery. This is a brand new battery. Fully charged. The caps are completely flat. This is a cold prime. Okay, let's do a warm prime. So 51 seconds on the cold prime. Nine seconds on a warm prime. Let's do one more. So that's the 4 amp hour HD battery. 130 millivolts. That is flat. This is a 4 amp hour non-HD brand new battery, fully charged. Supercaps are flat. So this is a cold prime. Okay, 51 seconds. That's almost identical to the HD version of the 4 amp hour battery. Alright, so now we'll do a warm prime. The non-HD version of the 4 amp hour battery is basically the same in this situation as the HD version. Alright, let's check the voltage. So 11.5 volts. And we will wait for the caps to go flat and we'll test again. 250 millivolts, that is flat. So this is a fully charged, brand new 8 amp hour HD battery that has a 21700 cells in it. This doesn't fit in here, so I have to kind of move this cover. Okay, so doesn't really fit in there, FYI. So this is going to be a cold prime on the 8 amp hour battery that has the 21700 cells. Okay, let's do a warm prime. Even with a Ryobi battery that has 21700 cells versus the 18650s in the 4 amp hour and the HD 4 amp hour, there's really no difference even with that. Let's open this up and test the voltage. Alright, so 11.5 volts. Same result as everything else. Flat the caps and test again. So we're down under 1/4 volt, so these caps are flat. This is the weakest battery. So this is a P102 2 amp hour. I want to test it with the caps flat. We're going to start with a cold prime on this. Okay, let's try a warm prime. Let's try that again. Alright, we're down under 1/2 volt. So I'm going to call that flat. This is an old 4 amp hour half charged. This is a cold prime. Okay, 1 minute and 11 seconds. That's a long cold prime. Let's reset the timer. Let's do a warm prime. Okay, 20 seconds on a warm prime. Check the voltage on the battery and the caps. So look at that. It was near the end of the charge, so this is less than a half. Yeah, okay, so we're under 18 volts, 17.39. 12.3 volts. All of these batteries, except this one, have 18650 cells in them. This battery has 21700 cells in it. All three of these batteries performed the same, whether it was a cold prime or a warm prime. The differences were trivial. By the way, this battery does not physically fit into this. I had to take the screws out of the bottom and separate the two halves to get this battery to even fit. These new 8 amp hour and 12 amp hour batteries do not fit in this tool. These batteries, of course, all fit in the tool. You'll see a difference in the time it takes to prime with batteries that are half dead. Even this 2 amp hour battery performed pretty close to these. There is a difference between this 2 amp hour battery and these, but it isn't much. And that explains why Ryobi ships the kit with a 2 amp hour battery in it. So all of these batteries, regardless of the cell types, 21700 or 18650, you're getting about a 50-second cold prime and about a 10-second warm prime. These do click into this, but this lid doesn't close because these batteries are quite bulky. Even the performance of these batteries is almost the same as what we saw with these. And this is an HP battery. The high performance batteries have these extra terminals right here. This does not have the contacts for these high performance terminals. So HP batteries don't make a difference in here. When I saw the announcements for this tool a couple months ago, I was really excited. And I know I'm not the only one. A lot of people are very interested in this tool. I think it's a good tool. Maybe this was way more detail than anybody wanted about it, but I spent a lot of time testing this thing out. I wanted to see if there was a difference in the cycle times. So I think that within the Ryobi battery product line, there's only a few cases where the difference in the time it takes to prime is really noticeable. Typically, it's not noticeable. The number of times that you can cycle this, of course it makes a difference if you've got a 6 amp hour, 4 amp hour, 3 amp hour, 2 amp hour, and you're cycling this thing many, many times, then yeah, put a bigger battery in it, a 4 amp hour, I would say at least. This was a big, complicated video. I had no idea that it was going to get as complicated as it did. Anyway, I hope all that information was helpful, if not at least an interesting curiosity. All right, so those are my opinions and my analysis. This is on shelves now. Go out and get yours. I got mine. I'm very happy with it, and thank you for watching.